Hey guys, Kenny here. Stay cool and relax to the movies. Bye.
Hey guys, Kenny here. I'm here to review the fantastic film, The Dark Knight Rises. I saw this at 10:05 yesterday, Friday, July 20th. I have a Batman basketball here from Six Flags, and this was made in 1994 by Six Flags, so I've had this for nearly 20 years. The Dark Knight Rises, this takes place 8 years after the events of The Dark Knight and the end of it, when Harvey Dent is killed. Batman takes it upon himself that he's the one who caused Harvey Dent's death. This story is about him and all the people in the city trying to live with this false freedom that he was the one who caused his death, and people were still praising and lifting up Harvey Dent's name because of the promise that Bruce Wayne has taken upon himself. He really has made himself really feel down, and he really looks disheveled and really depressed. And because of how he's making himself feel, he hasn't been Batman for 8 years until these new villains, Bane and Catwoman, Selina Kyle, Catwoman. Once they start terrorizing Gotham, then Bruce Wayne is forced to take on the mantle of being Batman again. And there's this really great young police officer played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's this really idealistic young police officer who is one of the few officers in the city who really believe in justice and trying to get Gotham City back to being safe and a happy place again, unlike all the corrupt officers from Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, where they didn't care for the well-being of anyone in the city. Jim Gordon, he has a much bigger part to play in this film than in the previous films, and I really loved how his character progressed throughout this film and the arc that he took. Same with Bruce Wayne. I loved his arc too as well. He started out being sad and then becoming hopeful again. And Lucius Fox, his part in this is much more massive than in the previous two. Marion Cotillard, and I loved her character. And I was really surprised how much she appeared in the film, because at first I thought she would have a small part, but it turned out to be much bigger than I thought it would be. I loved the kind of banter and relationship between her and Bruce Wayne. Her twist near the end I never saw coming. The Selina Kyle Bruce Wayne relationship was also incredibly funny and deep. I was very surprised in how much they connected with each other, because they are both tortured souls and tortured people, so they can really relate with each other while also butting heads with each other with their intellect and their intelligence. They always had something to say against one another, and that made for some really fantastic dialogue scenes between them. And along with Batman, the same can go with them, with their scenes too. Alfred, he's not in this very much, maybe 4 or 5 scenes, maybe 6, but the short scenes he was in were still very powerful. It left a big impact on me when he stopped being in the film for a long time. And I really enjoyed the backstory that we learn about him in this film. Tom Hardy, Bane, I don't want to forget about him. Oh, he was flawless, perfect. I loved his character, fantastic. Even with the mouthpiece, I really understood him. I think I did understand him throughout the whole thing. He really didn't have much of an arc. He was the same serious character throughout the whole thing, but he really, really did grow on me throughout the story. I loved how he progressed and got worse and worse throughout the story. And I loved the plan that he had to destroy Gotham. This plan that Bane had was even more brilliant. A villain from Batman Begins, and he showed up in a short scene in The Dark Knight that makes a very, very nice cameo in this. I'm not going to say who it is. Matthew Modine. I loved his character in this. He was another cop officer who was out trying to get rid of Batman, but he wasn't a corrupt officer trying to do that. I think he had a very clear motive. There's this one particular child actor, I didn't ever get his name, but he gets to befriend Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. I really, really enjoyed that little boy. I loved his character arc throughout the story. Oh, and he was one of the kids who believed in him. He was also one who was, we saw it in the trailer, he was the one who was drawing those bat symbols with the chalk. The storytelling, the story was brilliant. I loved how it started out kind of small and then it progressed to being this massive story. The set design was also amazing. This has some of the best set design and architecture that I've ever seen in a film. The music score, that was also fantastic from Hans Zimmer, and I've enjoyed every single score he's done throughout his career, not just this series of Batman films. I loved it in Batman Begins. That's an underrated score, I think. That was beautiful. And then The Dark Knight, that one is probably the one that gets talked about the most. I really enjoy that one. I think his score for this is my favorite, and The Dark Knight is my second favorite. The visual effects, it was sometimes hard to tell what was a visual effect and what wasn't. Even with, we see it in the trailer, Batman's new flying bat wing. I know it does bat wing, so I call it a bat wing. That was a beautiful machine, and it was also very well done in how it was used in the story. I can't think of anything wrong with this movie at all. I give this movie a perfect 5 out of 5 stars, so stay cool and relax to the movies. Bye.